Listen to those industrial machines. That's not a machine. It's a gigantic HVAC inside Whole Foods. So I'm drinking some water in here. The last video I made, I started off with the story nugget. It's powerful, but it's not complete. We want the whole novel planning checklist. The whole thing. The whole thing. All these colors in the background remind me of like circles and things like that. Cool. I don't know what I don't know what a log line is. Oh, I do. I said that 1 to 2 sentence condensation of the entire novel. What is the inciting incident? What is their primary goal? What are the stakes? The premise or the hook? So let's go through phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, phase 4, phase 5, phase 6. Point of view, scope, math, index. I'll add like a phase 7, bro. Tone, pacing, narrative, narrator, reading level, prose, density. Man, didn't even mention prose. Yeah. Voice texture and prose mechanics, pacing and time control stuff is. So now I want you to mine. I would say even phase 7, phase 8. Morals, the moral lesson, the overarching philosophy, the author's personal research, corpus, fragments, transformed into story elements. You just like personalize it. Personalization. Structure in phase 8, metaphysics, synthesis, and the writer's shadow. This is where the cold, unyielding geometry of abstract systems. It's already just typing all this in. It's talking like it is going to do it. Meets the dark warm blood of the physical world. The overarching philosophy, the metaphysical rules. So I'm going to see personalization of physical bloodline, the weight of the body. So we're like mine my entire corpus and history for a complete 8-phase novel plan model. What is it gonna do? What is it gonna do? Have I done enough work to mine for the complete 8-phase novel plan model? He's going to build and turn abstract logical systems into heavy, visceral prose that carries physical mass. Cosmic friction in the hook. Turing's hamburger. Okay, the systemic hook. The cosmic friction is Turing's hamburger concept. The cosmic friction defined the conflict between the cold, indifferent math of the universe and a warm, chaotic mess of human survival. There's a character architecture or the engines of conflict. Heinrich, sovereign mask, smokestack archetype, world building, lore, and kinetic rules. Okay. I don't think it just did. Remember, this is supposed to be a fiction novel. I should have used the as keyword up here. I should have said I kind of did. High concept, hook, and premise. And seven. Okay. Is this ready to write? Let's draft a heavy. Okay, first scene. Let's see if it makes any damn sense. Is it automatic or not? The mist in the foothills did not drift. It clung to the black pines like cold breeze. I do not like that. Heinrich stopped at the lip of the ridge, his boots sinking deep into the damp, granitic scree. At 275 pounds, gravity was never an abstract concept. It was a constant, crushing calculation performed between the soles of his feet and the ancient, shifting bones of the mountain. He stood still, letting his heart rate settle, listening to the heavy, rhythmic thrum of his own lungs. He reached up with a gloved hand and wiped the condensation from his forehead, smoothing back his wet black hair. His blue eyes scanned the valley below. Through the gray soup of the fog, the world looked like a half-rendered simulation, its edges soft and bleeding into nothingness. The air smelled of wet pine needles, cold stone, and the sharp, static sting of ozone, the bitter perfume of the state's lower grid surveillance sweeping the flats 3 miles down. I kinda like it. He reached into his pocket, pulled out a small, grease-stained notebook. He flipped past pages of scribbled coordinate grids and hand-drawn, non-transitive dice matrices until he found the fragment. It was a short sequence of low-level code he had pulled from a diagnostic port in the sector terminal before he fled. In its sequence, load plenum.sys, assert P equals MP if error returns 0x00 underscore dread. It was a logical impossibility turned into a system command. The code shouldn't have compiled, yet it had run, leaving a lingering, glitched echo in the sector's automation that was now slowly rewriting the local laws of cause and effect. In the margins, he had written a single note in his tight, precise hand. The loop is swallowing its own tail. The hamburger is eating itself. A sudden, deep vibration rose through the soles of his boots. It wasn't the earth shaking, it was the train. 500 feet below, cutting through the throat of the dark canyon, the heavy freight line began its nightly run. I kinda like that. So like rating so far. Really want to get it up to 10 out of 10. It's 8.8 out of 10 as a foundational entry point. It's heavy. It's breathing prose, but there are a few areas we can calibrate. Visceral gravity, expository pause. But I want that indie. What was it? Pacing. Like I want this apocalyptic pacing, like a brooding, negative, dark tone for Heinrich. Tone. And atmosphere is foggy, hail stir, occasionally cold, brittle, grimy. Surroundings are corporate, state, mountainous, a UFO, statuary, monuments, natural pools and trails. That's something, I guess. I guess I have no idea what I'm doing. Narration should be like Shadowrun book. Natural enemies, dog packs, state executives, hackers, priests, engineers, Victor and family, politicians. Okay. Okay. Why? The System Error, the novel of Cold Steel, Glitch Sky, and Raw Leverage, Glitch and Street. I would say also like story premise, Heinrich moves with stealth to investigate cat disappearances in Polish UFO site. The scent of burning brown coal and wet birch bark hung thick over the Silesian exclusion zone. Here in the gray, flat forest of southern Poland, the state had built its monument to regional efficiency, only for the system to glitch and die, leaving behind a concrete wasteland of half-constructed cooling towers and running railway spurs. I like it. Logline. Heinrich stealth is disrupted constantly by Victor's surveillance and scent question. A simple investigation turns into a mob fight between the dogs of war. And it takes it from a quiet, eerie mystery and slams it headfirst in a high-octane, street-level cyber noir. I kind of dig this. I put a lot of effort into the concept. The Silesian breakdown logline. Heinrich's silent hunt for the glitched cats of Immelsen is systematically torn apart by Victor's orbital telemetry sweeps. I want to use weapons like American pistols and Soviet machine guns, American artillery, UFO tech, smartphones, use dense technical jargon for this. We add kind of an enrichment. The air in the Immelsen exclusion zone was not cold, it was chemically starved. I like where this is going. Heinrich stood in a three-point stance behind the shattered pedestal of a Polish Yawist boundary obelisk. His left hand pressed into the wet peat to stabilize his 125-kilogram pole. His thigh was leaking a hot, dark stream of arterial blood through the torn wool of his trousers, where the Jagerhound's chrome-plated teeth had sheared the vastus medialis. I like that. He didn't look at the wound. His focus was locked on the high-definition AMOLED display of his ruggedized tactical smartphone, which was tethered via USB-C to a handheld logic analyzer. The screen's terminal was executing a real-time packet sniff on the local electromagnetic field. Directly overhead, the matte black geometric void The anomalous aerodynamic lifting body hanging at zero velocity was emitting a coherent high frequency electromagnetic field. Kind of cool, but narrator is omniscient. The narrator is an omniscient transcendentalist and war god. Pete does not lie. It remembers the physical mass of every mammoth, every Red Army tank, and every heavy-footed human that ever sank into its black, acidic embrace. It registers weight as a form of worship. I am the cold pressure beneath Heinrich's boots. I am the kinetic momentum of the lead shearing through the birch bark, and I am the dark, silent geometry of the wedge hanging in the sky. To the state executives, that black vessel and an uncalculable anomaly. So let's look at let's balance the model for a perfect novel. To balance this model into a flawless, unyielding engine for a speculative cyber noir novel, we must align its metaphysical machinery with its visceral, physical reality. A perfect novel in this genre cannot just have a cool setting. The prose itself must act as a physical force, and it must feel as heavy as the mud under Heinrich's boots. Visceral realism, heavy mud leverage, glitch sky, code, melancholy moth, violent shells, philosophy versus muscle. The UFO versus Colt 45. Stained glass versus transparent action. Integrating the lore. Balanced chapter outline. TOC and chapter outlines. Here's the complete balanced table of contents and chapter by chapter outline for the system error. Initialization state, cold boots and a Pete. The Emilson zone, the vanishing cats, and arrival of the wedge, telemetry and teeth. Drone sweep, catch wrestling, bottleneck, and the Jaeger hounds. Ballistic delay. It's an act state. It's breaking down in the scenes. So narrates. Like choose best narrator. And narration choices for like college grad level reader. Transcendentalist machine, dual perspective, systemic third, cold eye, Heinrich's internal monologue, the money first. Colt slide cycles in a fraction of a second. Sharp metal on metal slap to spit a warm 45 ACP brass casing into the wet burst leaves. The subsonic 230 grain lead projectile tore through the sulfur mist at 250 meters per second. Its kinetic energy transforming into the rusted impact plate of the suspended shell. Memory leak as physical decay. Here's a sample text balancing the eye and the muscle. The 109A6 Paladin had fired from a grid coordinate 34 Delta. A 155 millimeter projectile traveling on a muscle velocity of 826 meters per second should have impacted a geothermal pool at exactly 9:14:02. It did not. The heat coming off that hanging steel cylinder was drying the sweat on my forehead before it could freeze. My thigh was screaming. The tourniquet was biting deep into my groin, but it was keeping the blood inside my femoral artery. I sat back on my heel, letting my 125 kilogram frame settle into the frozen moss to stabilize my hips. Okay. Narrate. Intro. The Silesian exclusion zone does not have a weather system, it has a metabolism. The fog here is thick yellow and carries the wet metallic tang of oxidized iron. It clings to the white birch forest, Emerson like a shroud, dampening the sound of the world until the only things left are the rhythmic hiss spit of the geothermal vents and the occasional jagged rattle of soot hail against the cooling towers of the dead state. I am the cold pressure beneath the peat. I am the science that waits in the geometric shadow of the wedge. I'm the ancient, bloody arithmetic that has governed this mountain since the first man sharpened a stone against a bone, and I am watching the machine glitch. Heinrich is currently 6 inches from the frozen moss, his 125 kilogram frame pressed into the earth like a fallen boulder. To a casual observer, he's merely a large man in a wool coat, clutching a ruggedized smartphone in a lead-lined case. To the grid, he's a massive structural anomaly, a variable that refuses to be solved. Oh, my limit's reached, so fuck it.